We have with us Meredith, who has worked on Governor Walz's staff, and also we have Angie, who was a student of Governor Walz's. So let me start with Meredith. Well, Jennifer, let me start with you. First of all, they just told me that they've been friends since they were in first grade.
No way.
Yes. So I'm excited about that. I was just telling them I'm still friends with my friend Sue. Well, we've known each other since we were 6. So Angie, tell me, what class did you have? Was it social studies with Governor Walz?
It was global geography.
Bring that a little bit closer to your mouth, right there, so we can hear your voice.
Yeah,
yes, thank you.
Geography in 11th grade.
Okay.
Yes.
I still don't know my geography, so how's your geography? I'm hoping he was a good teacher.
You know, my geography was not my strong suit.
Okay.
I'm a science nerd by training, but I
Well,
will say that his was the most interesting geography class I've ever taken.
How so?
You know, I think you see him on stage now. Everyone's gotten to know him. You see how energetic and engaging he is, and that's, for us, I think it's almost surreal because it brings us back to the classroom.
Got it.
That's the kind of teacher he was. He had that level of energy, the level of energy you see on stage, on the campaign trails. That was him at the front of the classroom, foot on the chair of a student, leaning in and talking.
Oh, man. And was he the kind of teacher that would be in the lunchroom? Because I know he talks about working the lunchrooms. So you're nodding your head too, Meredith. Yeah. So I'm guessing you saw him in the lunchrooms. You might not have been a student of his. Was he? Because I remember we had some pretty outgoing teachers. I went to the biggest high school in Chicago. So we had some pretty outrageous teachers. Was he somebody who was like, kind of making sure that everything was in line but with a good attitude, Meredith?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was the guy who, if you didn't have lunch money or your parents couldn't afford lunch...
Come on, don't make us cry.
He would get it out of his account and he would pay for your lunch. Like, didn't blink twice, didn't make you eat the cheese sandwich that put the stigma on you, that you were the kid that didn't have lunch money. He just paid for your lunch. Okay. I had a locker 2 doors down, or 2 lockers down from his classroom, and he would stand outside his classroom in a shirt and tie, right? Most teachers were a little more casual, and we had great teachers. But he was out there in a shirt and tie shaking hands with students who walked by, whether or not he had them in the classroom. And I asked him one time, I said, why do you shake everybody's hands? And he's like, well, I want everybody to know they're important here. I want them to know that somebody cares that they came to school. I want them to know that I respect them and I respect learning. And so I dress up and I wear the shirt and tie. And school is serious business. It sets you up for the rest of your life. And so he was the guy who went out to the back part of the parking lot with the kids that had the Confederate flag in the back of the pickup to talk to them. And then it was like a conversation. He'd say, I really want you to come in the building today. I really want you to come to class today. It's important that you're here and it's important that you learn. And there's a lot of those kids who walked in because of him. Some of them are here. There's far more former students than us.
What is happening?
Yeah, he's the real deal.
Angie, so what, when you saw, how much of his career have you been following? I mean, obviously as a congressman in Minnesota and then governor, watching that rise, what was that like as a former student to say that was my geography teacher?
Yeah, I think when he decided to run for Congress, I had just graduated from college, and so I wasn't living in the state of Minnesota at the moment, but I felt a real sense of pride, and I was also, I think, to an extent unsurprised, based on how passionate we knew him to be as a teacher and the amount of care he gave to making sure that we cared about the world around us. Afterwards, when I did move back to Minnesota, I did some volunteer work for his later congressional campaigns. Meredith was there at the beginning. His campaign, his first congressional campaign, there are pictures out there. It was, I don't know, Mary, you want to say 90% students and former students marching in parades with him, volunteering, knocking doors. And so I think that passion that his students have, the care that he gave out, it's come back to him. And that's why you see so many students stepping out to support him. And I followed his career. I've lived in the state of Minnesota, for a long time now. And so I followed his career into the governor's office, did some volunteer work for him for that campaign as well. And he remembers. He's got such a wicked memory. He knows your name. He knows where you sat. He remembers details about your kids.
I will tell you, he was my guy for when they were talking about all that. Look, I live in Illinois, and I saw our governor there, but I was like, that guy. I don't know. I need that guy. So Meredith, how many alumni are here today?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. It's dozens and dozens that made it. But I tell you what, when they announced it was going to be him, we put together a very quick Google form, sent it out to some of our friends. I had 200 former students that signed up right away to do anything. I will talk to media. I will phone bank. I will show up where you tell me, when you tell me. and they have been showing up. Not all of them could make it here, but they are the same ones Angie mentioned that showed up in our firfirst campaign. Rahm Emanuel, I know this is the city of Rahm Emanuel, was running.
I would not call it the city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no.
That's a bridge too far. My apologies.
That's
So many bridges, yes.
But he was running the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee during then, Mr. Walz's first campaign. And he would call and tease him. Oh, Walz, that's so cute that you have all these former students, but you need some real pros or you're never going to win this thing. And, right, we were a bunch of former students who hadn't done this before, but we did it anyways. It was our real Mr. Smith goes to Washington moment.
Because they knew him. Yes. They knew what was real.
Yes.
They didn't have to put themselves into the position to figure out who candidate Walz was at the time because you knew him. That made it easiher for people to say, yeah, we want to work with you. So I have Meredith, I kind of a follow-up.
Hold on. Anybody that can prove Rahm Emanuel wrong is my favorite. Those are my favorite people. Go ahead. Dude almost got me fired from my last radio job. I can say whatever I want.
We have,
seriously,
he and I have history too. So leave it there.
Okay,
that's okay, Meredith. I get it. We understand where you're coming from. Question about back of the parking lot, Confederate flags in the trucks.
Yes.
So, how do you feel about Governor Walz having that same kind of impact now as the running mate to pull those people from central Arkansas, to pull those people from, parts of Ohio and other red Confederate areas to the center to say, you know what, I voted this way the last two cycles, but I got to change. Do you think that he will have that kind of impact on this election?
Yeah, look, I don't know exactly why the vice president picked him, but I'm going to guess that's why, right? He has always wanted to hear both sides. He has always wanted to have a constructive dialogue. It's the way I saw him govern when I worked for him. It's the way he approached the classroom, where instead of yelling at a kid who said something totally ridiculous, and let's be clear, high schoolers say just ridiculous things.
I think we all were that way at one point.
Yeah. Right, we all thought we were invincible, and we said dumb stuff just to goad that teacher, right?
Sure.
He didn't take the bait. He would say, well, why? Tell me why. Prove your point. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. He operates the same way. And so when you send him into Nebraska, right, his home state, when you send him into Iowa and Ohio and Indiana and Pennsylvania, he speaks plain language. He sounds like he's your average Joe because he went to Chadron State in Nebraska, right? He's not an Ivy Leaguer. Not that Ivy League is
he's
bad.
Not even
I think
a big
it's great.
tenor.
Oh no, this is the anti-Ivy League.
No, he got his
school campaign.
Right?
It really is.
He got his master's at Minnesota State University, Mankato. Gosh darn it!
I love it.
And
I have to meet him someday because I want to talk about all those things too.
You should.
But I will. But go ahead. You were gonna.
But he is one of those people, right? My little brother, who was on his state championship football team, lives in Ohio, just turned 40, and looks like J.D. Vance. Same age, same state, looks like him. And I know he's probably a Republican. And you better believe he's going to vote for Coach Walz.
Yes!
Wow. You are going to see some football players tonight on the stage who are just like my brother, who played on that same state championship team and are going to vote for Coach Walz. And I think that's what you're going to see across the country, right? He's going to show up and people are going to say, I identify with this guy.
I see you. Yeah. Right. Unfortunately, we're at the top of the hour. Ladies, are you going to be here tomorrow as well, or is this your only day?
No, we're here. We're just here for Mr. Walz. We're here to support him. Okay, we're here to listen to him.
I want more of that. This is just put it right into my veins.
It's the medicine that's needed.
I know.
Can I tell you, I really hope you both get to meet him someday because you will feel what we felt from that day.
We'll give you all the business cards.
Yeah. He's been that way since day one.
I didn't even get last names. Meredith and Angie, it was really a pleasure to meet both. Tell us your last name if you want to.
Vadis.
Meredith Vadis and
Angie Brunner.
It was a pleasure to meet both of you. You're going to have so much. This is going to be unbelievable.
It's incredible.
This is historic, and we're grateful for you sharing this story, for creating this environment, being volunteers for his campaign, and getting us to this point in history as well. So thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy, but take this in. Take mental pictures. I know you're going to take selfies and all kinds of photos. Take mental pictures.
Absolutely.
So one of the funniest things about this is that we talk to folks and say we're former students, and they congratulate us on being young people who are standing up for the progress or for the political process. And I say, do you see the gray hairs?
We're in our 40s.
We are not.
Thank
you for calling us.
She said 40. She's your younger brother.
Yeah,
and I was
right. When she did that, that's the same thing. I was like, wait a minute. Meredith said younger brother? Okay.
I know,
I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Well, you,
I was like,
you
wow.
exude youth and energy.
Yes.
Thank
We're
you.
happy to have you.
Mostly
Absolutely.
caffeine at this
Thank
point.
Oh,
but
I'm
we'll
with
take
you
the
on that.
compliment.
Have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
what you're
much.
doing.